Welcome to another episode of the Building Blocks to Financial Freedom, and I'm Kyler Nathaniel. Have you ever gone on to Google and just searched how to buy a house, and then you start feeling overwhelmed when you see all the steps and qualifications that go into it? Well, I'm here to simplify the process today. We're going to take a look at the steps on how to prepare to buy a house. So let's dive right in. All right, so for the first piece, in order to prepare to buy a house, we have to start saving early. And the reason why we have to start saving early is because there are upfront costs to getting that house that we're trying to get. So the first thing that we need to save for is going to be the down payment of the property. And this is going to be dependent on the type of mortgage that we get. So if we get the FHA loan, which is the Federal Housing Administration loan, which is typically really great for first-time home buyers, depending on your credit score, you have a couple of different options on the down payment that you can put down. So if you fall into that category of having a credit score of 580 or up, then you can put as little as 3.5% down. Now, let's say you fall into the category of having a credit score of 500 to 579. Now in this case, you would have to put as little as 10% down. You see how big of that a change is just with your credit score alone? Now, let's say you don't go the FHA route. You go the conventional loan route. Now, with the conventional loan, you do have to have a higher credit score. You have to have at least a 620 credit score and up, but you can put down as little as 3% all the way up to 10%, and that's all dependent on your credit score. Now, the next upfront cost that you're going to have when buying this house is going to be the closing costs of the property. Now, the closing costs of the property are going to be the fees and expenses that you need to finalize your mortgage. They're also going to range typically from 2% to 5% of whatever that loan amount is. Now, the great thing about these closing costs is you can negotiate with the seller on these. You can negotiate with the seller to cover a portion of the closing costs. In some cases, you might be able to negotiate with them to cover all of the closing costs, right? Now, this is another piece that we have to think about. Unless you are buying a house that is fully furnished, appliances, has all your clothes and everything in it, you're going to have to pay some type of moving expenses, right? So these could be getting the moving equipment. This could be getting more furniture for this house. Maybe it's bigger than what you originally were coming from, or just home repairs in general. Maybe there's just some minor things that need to be repaired prior to you moving in. It's not completely ready, right? So these are all things that you have to factor in to how much you need to save. Now, the goal is to get to around 25% of whatever that home costs. That's what you want to have saved up. Now, we understand that's not realistic, so you always want to just try and get as close to that 25% as you possibly can to put you in the most secure position when buying that house so that you're ready and it's not as stressful. All right, so let's dive into the next piece that you're going to need to prepare to buy a home. Come on. All right, and for the next thing, again, prepare to buy a house, we have to keep track of our credit score. This is so important because credit determines the interest rates that you get on your mortgage. So we want to go and get that free credit report from annualcreditreport.com, or go to Credit Karma or Experian, wherever you want to go to get your credit report. Also, check out my videos on how to repair your credit, how to build credit, and how to dispute those credit errors so that you can get your credit where you need to be to get this mortgage. Now, for FHA, again, you need 500 to a 579 credit score to be approved for that 10% down payment. If you want to get that 3.5% down payment, you need a 580 credit score or better. Now again, for the conventional, you need a credit score of 620 or more to get 3% to 10% down on that property. Now remember this, an interest rate can change your monthly mortgage payment by hundreds of dollars. So having your credit where you want it to be really is a big deal. So let's go ahead and dive in for the next piece that we need to know to prepare to buy our house. All right, and for the next piece, this is going to be the type of mortgage. You want to find the mortgage that's going to work for your situation, right? So first, let's take a look at a conventional mortgage. A conventional mortgage is not backed by the government, okay? So because it's not backed by the government, they might have different types of restrictions. You might need a higher credit score. You might have to put more money down. All of these different things go into it, but it can also save you money because you don't have to have that mortgage insurance that you have to have when you have an FHA loan, like you would with a conventional loan. And again, you can get as low as 3% down payments on this type of loan, just depending on what your credit score is. Now, the next one is going to be the FHA loan. This is the most common one that you hear because these are what the first-time home buyers typically always go for because they are the easiest ones to get approved for. Now, they're backed by the Federal Housing Administration, and you can get as low as 3.5% down payment. And that's going to be with you having at least a 580 credit score. Now, for the USDA mortgage loan, this is going to be backed by the Department of Agriculture, and please forgive me because I always butcher this word, but it's also known as a rural housing mortgage. I always mess up that word, I'm sorry. But the great thing about this mortgage is that if you meet the qualifications for it, there's typically no down payment associated with it. And then the next type of mortgage that we have out there is the Veterans Mortgage. This is going to be backed by the Department of Veteran Affairs, and this is going to be applicable for those that are either active in the military or are veterans from the military. And this typically as well comes with 0% down payment. It's great, right? Now, with your mortgage also, you can get different type of terms on your mortgage as well. You can get either a 15-year or a 30-year. Some cases you might get a 20-year. There's all different types of options on these terms, but the 15 and the 30 are the most common ones that we see. Now with the 15-year mortgage, it offers you with a lower interest rate because it's a shorter term, but you're going to have higher monthly payments. And it's the flip side if you get the 30-year mortgage, because it's a longer term, you're going to have a higher interest rate, but you will have lower payments. So again, it's all going to be what works for you. And the great thing about mortgages is that if you have a lifestyle change or something like that, start making more money or something along those lines, you can always refinance your mortgage later on down the road and maybe flip it for a 30-year to a 15-year, go from an FHA mortgage to a conventional mortgage. All of those things are great too that can go into that mixture. So just because you pick one, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're stuck with it for the rest of the loan lifespan. So let's go ahead and dive into the last thing that we need to do to prepare to buy a house. Come on. All right. So the last thing that we're going to want to do to prepare to buy a house, after we've got our money saved up, we've got our credit scores in line, we know what type of mortgage we're looking for, we want to get pre-approved. So a pre-approval letter is when lenders offer to loan you a specific amount of money under certain terms. This lets you know where you stand prior to going to get the house. So this will show sellers that you're serious about getting a mortgage. This will give you negotiating power because you know what you're approved for. You know, if you're approved for $150,000, then you can kind of work and negotiate and haggle with that seller to try and talk them down from that house that's $175,000 to $150,000 so that you can get what you're really looking for and make your money work for you, right? So you can also shop these pre-approvals in a 30-day time frame without it hurting your credit too much. So if you go to one place and they don't offer you as much, you can go check out another place in that 30-day time frame just to see if there are other options for you rather than just settling for something that you're not really happy for. All right, so that wraps up the pre-approval process. So let's go ahead and wrap it up here. So in conclusion now, so we know that we've got to save money to get approved and to get this house that we're trying to get. We got to have the money there. And we want to try and get as close to 25% of what the house cost is to be in the most secure spot when going to get this house for the down payment, the closing costs, and all the moving expenses that go into it. Next, we want to make sure that our credit is in line to get the best interest rates for us so that we're not paying all this money in interest and just throwing our money away. Check out my videos on repairing your credit if need be. Then the third piece, know what type of mortgage you need. Find the mortgage that works for you. so that you can put yourself in the best place when it comes to paying a mortgage bill, interest rates, down payments, all of those things. You know, if you're a veteran, it's probably not a good idea to go for that FHA loan, you know. And then the fourth thing, get pre-approved prior to getting that house. That way, the odds are in your favor. You can negotiate, you can haggle, you can make things work for you, and you can know what's in your range and what's way out of your range. You're not just there yet. So next, we're going to actually be taking a look at how to shop for your home. Now, I'm not going to tell you what home to pick out, but I'm just going to give you some tips and tricks along the way so that you know how to find the best home for you. All right, so until next time, again, my name is Kyler Nathaniel. This is the Building Blocks to Financial Freedom. Please drop a like, subscribe to the page for more content on the way, and please drop a comment for some videos that you might want to see, any feedback that you can suggest to make this experience greater for all of you. Thank you.